India's AI Impact Summit occurred this week in New Delhi, and well, it was a complete disaster. Tons of reports of just not being able to even get to the conference as people swarmed. Police are shutting down the roads in the downtown New Delhi so that VIPs could get to the conference in time, and it just created extreme chaos in this massive city of 20 million people. In fact, there were videos showing people walking miles and miles and miles through the streets of New Delhi just to get to the AI Impact Summit. It was open to the public, then it was closed to the public. It was just absolutely crazy. In addition to that, Bill Gates withdrew his keynote just hours before. He's one of the biggest speakers in the world, pulls out last minute. That's not good. Now, there's some speculation that's due to Epstein and the files and traveling, but nowadays everything's related to Epstein. Regardless, Bill Gates pulled out. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang also pulled out of the summit last minute, which was, kind of crazy. There was even a big controversy where an Indian university presented a robotic dog as its own invention. They were so proud. Everyone, look at our robot dog that we made. Well, turns out they didn't make it. They just bought it. It was commercially available for purchase from a Chinese robotics manufacturer. So just absolutely crazy. And by the way, guys, if you're not keeping up with the robotics and the robots that are being built in China right now, they are amazing and terrifying and spectacular all at the same time. I'll probably record a video this week on what's happening with Chinese robotics, because it is mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. For people that think that their job is safe because, well, a robot can't do my job. These robots are doing backflips. They're holding machine guns. It turns out that the Terminator might not be as far off as we thought. But anyway, I'm digressing a bit. At any rate, there was a lot of terrible stuff that happened at this event. But it's not all bad news for our Indian brothers and sisters, because there were some good things that happened. Some big deals were made. So CEO of Google, Sundar Pichai, was there. Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, was there. Dario Amodei from Anthropic was there. Anthropic, notably, is the developer of Claude AI. And they were all there. And there was actually a moment where Prime Minister Modi was in the center of all these huge tech bigwigs, raised everyone's hand, and Sam Altman and Dario Amodei, who are at competing companies, basically were standing next to each other and awkwardly refused to hold hands. That was kind of a hot moment. There's been a lot of, and we've kind of covered this on the channel, it shouldn't be a surprise for people that are subscribed and keeping up with what's happening and how our lives are being changed by AI, how our careers are being changed by AI, how we can actually remain relevant, respected, and financially free. For all the subs out there, you probably are aware that I mentioned this in the past. But Dario Amodei from Anthropic is a really interesting guy, because he's constantly saying how dangerous and how terrible AI is, but he's there just developing all the way. And it's kind of interesting the way that plays out. At any rate, I think what's happened, there are a lot of jabs going on between him and Sam Altman. A lot of people feel that Sam Altman over in OpenAI is just not exactly the most ethical person. And we kind of covered recently some changes in their organization. I'll post a link to this video here where they removed the word safely from their mission statement and have taken some roots away from AI for the good of humanity and more towards AI for the good of their profit margins. But anyway, I digress a little bit. Regardless, there were some big wigs there, some very big wigs there. And there were some huge investments announced in India. And I covered this in a video a little while ago. I'll post a link to it here. India is really poised to explode when it comes to infrastructure. I mean, companies are they are frothing at the mouth to build over in India. Telecom giant Jio announced that they plan to invest over $109 billion to construct data centers over the next 7 years. India's Adani Group committed $100 billion to data center development. Microsoft has reaffirmed its commitment to $50 billion in developing in the global south, with a $17.5 billion investment in India. And I'll post a link to this too. I know I'm referencing a lot of videos because, guys, we're covering this stuff. This stuff should not be a surprise if you are subscribed to the channel. We're covering this stuff day in, day out, and I just think it's really important to know. Anyway, another link I'll share here is to a video from Microsoft, who has also committed to upskilling 20 million Indian workers. They want to go in, they want to build data centers, and they want to help them upskill. But again, there's some problems you guys need to be aware of when it comes to this upskilling and these investments. I'll cover that in just a moment. In addition, Yada Data Services plans to build the second largest AI computing hub using Nvidia's state-of-the-art Blackwell chips. They've announced a $2 billion investment. Infrastructure major L&T also announced that they are in a proposed venture with Nvidia to build data center infrastructure. So guys, you were seeing hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars going into India data center construction. So all of our Indian viewers, brothers and sisters out there, are probably very excited, like, yes, India, we're gonna pop off, it's gonna be great. Well, not so fast, guys. You guys gotta pay attention, because despite these huge AI investments that might not necessarily be great for you personally, because a lot of this investment is into data center construction. And do you know much about data center construction? Do you know about engineering? Do you know about are you an electrician, plumber? I would expect that a lot of these projects are gonna bring in outside labor. Maybe they'll bring in labor from India. Regardless, lots of construction is going to happen, A. And then B, one of the issues that you have with data center construction is it creates a huge flux of work in the short term, and then after the project is completed over 24 to 36 months, well, they're out. You know, if you were doing all the wiring for data center, once that's done, you're out. And so you'll have thousands of people working on data centers to construct them, and then that drops down to, maybe 100 or so who man the data center. There's also a big issue for Indian workers in call centers and IT services, and we covered this a few days ago. Tens of thousands of you watched the video, thousands and thousands of you commented, and if you're in India, you should be aware of this, because AI is going to it's already taken over call center roles, and IT services are being transformed tremendously. We go into a lot of detail in that video, but I'll just say, I just wanted to share this. There's a company called Lime Chat that has the goal to make customer service jobs obsolete. They want to empower AI agents to replace 80% of call center workers. And there's a lot of call center workers in India, also in the Philippines and other English native countries, but I shouldn't say English native, but they speak English pretty well. Regardless, those jobs are going to be obsolete. I mean, these AI chatbots are so good. And I've shared this a few times ago, so again, not a surprise to subscribers, but I know a guy who runs one of the largest auto mechanic dealership regions. He just runs the region of of this very, very popular auto mechanic service shop in the United States. And they're using these AI call bots to answer phone calls after hours when everyone is gone. Humans don't know that they're real. I've listened to the recordings. They sound very, very good. People don't know it. And he says that they're responsible for about 15 to 20% of the appointments and meetings and schedules in their service shops. So, the reality is you probably already have spoken to these AI chatbots. They're getting very, very good, and they are going to replace a lot of Indian jobs, tech workers as well. And, because we're moving to this world where a lot of the really smart software engineers out there are not necessarily going to need to outsource their work to Indian IT workers. They're going to be able to use AI to help write code and diagnose issues and so on and so forth. And I just know that it's happening. I know it's happening. I talk to guys. I know that it is already happening. So where does that leave you if you are in one of these roles that's at risk? Well, you're going to have to adapt, and I expect, and you probably are not surprised to hear this, that AI automation and AI agents, this is the year for AI agents. It's how do I program an AI bot so not that I can prompt it, but so I can just tell it what I want it to do, and it will go out and just do it. It'll build a CRM, it'll email everyone on my You know, it'll email potential sponsors. It can do all these different things. It can book appointments on my calendar, all this different stuff, right? And so how do we do these? How do we create more AI agents? That is going to be the biggest opportunity, in my opinion, for people that have been in software. Now, there's a challenge that I'm just going to put out there for everyone in India, because the biggest hurdle you're going to need to overcome when landing jobs in creating AI agents is trust. I've talked about this before, communication as well. Communication is very, very important. That's because of trust. You got to communicate, you got to do what you say you're going to do. But trust is so important in this, because the biggest fear that anyone's going to have, any real business owner is going to have when it comes to implementing AI agents, is the privacy and security of their data, of their customers' data. And if you flub it up, it could really cost a lot for their business from a cybersecurity standpoint, from a privacy standpoint, etc. So, assuming that you want to get into AI agents, this is going to be the biggest thing. How do you prove to customers and clients that you can implement the AI agent safely? Sure, you know how to do it, but can you do it safely? That is going to be the biggest thing to overcome when it comes to these AI agents. I actually had someone reach out to me recently, say, hey, Mark, I want to implement a bunch of AI agents in my business. And I said, well, I'm not really doing that for people right now. I've got other projects I'm working on, so I can't really take this on, but let me refer you. And let me tell you something. When I refer someone, I want to make sure I'm referring them to someone that's legitimate, that's not going to screw up their business, because anyone that I refer, it reflects on me. So in any event, I reached out to a few people and I was able to give some recommendations because I know a couple guys that are just doing this at a very, very high level, and I trust them and they're very professional. So anyway, if you're in India and you're worried about where all this goes, that is something to think about. And even if you're in the United States too. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. What do you think? What did I miss about the AI Impact Summit? Did India flub it up? Is it an indicator of good things to come? You let me know. And if you like today's video, you will love yesterday's video where we talk about Klarna, a massive payment processing giant, has announced that due to AI agents, they are going to be shredding and shedding their workforce 1/3. Holy cow, one of the biggest payment processors in the world shedding 1/3 of its staff for AI agents. Watch yesterday's video, get the 411. See ya, peace.